Are you curious about bodies, pleasure, and possibilities? And what about curious about what others are up to on the planet when it comes to pleasure, sex, and play? Have you considered what pleasure can do for your life, your body, and your bank account? Do you know something magical, delightful, and out of this world orgasmic is not only possible for you, but totally available to you? If you're ready to be the magical, sexual, sexy beast you know you can be, and you just need the tools to get there, you're in the right place. Now, here is the host of The Pleasure Zone, sex, relationship, and intimacy coach and holistic health practitioner, Milica Jelenic.
Welcome, hello, my sweet pleasure seekers. Are you ready for hotter than ever sex during perimenopause, even postmenopause, like through menopause? Well, we're going to be talking about that. So we are looking at how to have hotter than ever sex during perimenopause today. Why do I even care? Well, I care because I'm 50 and I'm in that perimenopause phase, I suppose, or I'm hoping I am. I don't actually have a lot of indicators that I am. And in my family, some people don't hit menopause till they're like 60 or older. And so who knows? I might not even be in perimenopause for another couple of years. Perimenopause is that in-between phase where you haven't fully stopped having your period, but it's that pre-stuff. It's where we get all those symptoms that indicate that you could be going through menopause, where you could be maybe having your periods be less regular. Now, the funny thing is, for me, my periods have become more regular. My hormones have become more regulated. My hunger has become more regulated. A lot of things in my body that should be off right now are actually quite on. And it's like I had all the symptoms of perimenopause my whole life, and now it's kind of normalizing. And that's probably because of a lot of things I'm doing, between dietary awareness that I have, exercise, different remedies that I take to help regulate things. Who knows? But it's kind of funny and I like it. So I'm talking about this because a lot of women in my age range and my friends who are my age and older have either gone through menopause or are going through it. Going through the perimenopausal phase. And I hear reports. About things like my vagina is this or that. And then I've got some stellar friends whose vaginas are like top notch right now. And even after menopause, they are wetter than wet. And they're probably having the best sex of their lives when they get to have the best sex of their lives. And then there are, some other folks who are like, you know what? I am like drying up and feeling nothing. And I think what's really good to look at as a holistic health practitioner and as a sex and intimacy coach, I look at the whole picture. I don't just look at what's going on with your hormones. I look at, okay, so if your hormones are regulated and you still have this going on, what else is going on in your relationship? What's your communication level like? What's your curiosity level like? Have you played with different kinds of consent? Have you played with the wheel of consent? Because it's great. And have you played with different types of touch? Have you done anything explorative in your sex life? And maybe you haven't. Maybe what you've been trying to do is have the same sex you had 30 years ago with a body that's changing. And maybe you're bored. It's like if you were eating exactly the same food for the last 30 years, your body might be like, you know what? I'd like a little something different, a little vitamins here, a little nutrients there, a little this, a little that. You might be looking for something a little different. And that doesn't always mean that you're like going to up and leave your partner. It means that have a conversation with your partner, communicate with your partner about what your needs are now, and open the door so that your partner can also communicate what their needs are now. Because no matter what, as we age, our bodies change and our needs are different. And even the desire for sex can change a lot, or the desire of how you're having any kind of sexual connection can change. So it might be from, you know, screwing like rabbits in your 20s, trying to penetrate every hole that's out there, to maybe wanting to do something a little bit more seductive. Maybe you're bringing in more sensual movement, sensual touch. Maybe you're even bringing things like tantra, or practicing having your sex life be reflective of your spiritual life. These things change. You might have been practicing things like that even when you were younger, just because of curiosity as well. So, this whole phase of having hotter than ever sex during like perimenopause, is because we can have that. We don't have to walk away and abandon our desires. We don't have to just brush it off and go, well, I'm getting old, so who cares? I can't tell you how many people say to me, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm such and such old anyway. It doesn't matter. I've been married for 40 years. Who cares? I'm like, doesn't matter. If it mattered in the beginning and it's what got you together, why do you think it has no relevance now? It has relevance. It might have changed. And what you need is conversation, information to lend you to that conversation, and being able to navigate it in a different way. So, who's all for, like, raise your hands, hashtag me, I'm in, whatever you want to do, comment, whatever. I would love to hear who is actually interested in having a robust, playful, sexual experience and experiences as you age and as your body goes through menopause. Also, for if you're listening and you happen to be a body that's going through andropause, which would be what, and we're going to go through this in the biological terms, male bodies go through, biological males would experience andropause, and biological females would generally experience menopause. Although if you were born without a uterus, you won't. And there are people who are biological females who are born without uteruses. That's a conversation for another day. So, there's lots of variations out in the world, guys. I know that some of you just can't quite wrap your head around that, but that's okay. It's okay. It still exists. Whether you agree with it existing or not, it still exists. So, I want to talk about why it is that our desires don't really need to be abandoned, and also why desire isn't really disappearing. It's just that it could be changing, and maybe it's asking for a new language. So if your desire isn't really disappearing, what is it that has people believe that their desire is disappearing? So let's look at some of the main complaints. I'm too tired. Who has the time? Who even cares? Let's start with who even cares? Like, who even cares? What does it matter? I'm old now. Who's got the time for that? So if you believe that you don't have the time for it, you are not going to create the time for it. Who's got the time for that with 6 children, a dog, and 3 horses and a mule? Who's got the time for that? Well, the Amish certainly do, with their 10 children, 10 horses, pigs, um, all of that. I know lots of Amish couples who are still highly active, and they got a lot going on, working from 5 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m. in the morning to like 7 o'clock at night or more. And you know what? They don't abandon that because they know there's something super sacred and important in connecting with uh, with their husband or wife in that arena. It's going to be an arena. That's why I'm going to call it that. I don't know why I called it an arena. Anyway, so the comment in the chat room is that that is why they have the energy to work long hours. And you know what? It very well could be true that their sex lives are actually encouraging them to have better, more, and maybe even more incentive to work harder, get harder, have good long working hours. Now, that's not true across the board for people that I've talked to in the Amish community. And I am not Amish, so I'm not going to claim to be that. Generations back, but 4 generations back, my family was Amish, 4 or 5, something like that. We had some Amish relatives on my German side, but we are not anymore. So, yeah. we're long past being that Amish. So, what I do think that we do have is too many other distractions, where maybe those families don't have the distractions. So, if we have the distractions of um, all things technology, we have the distractions of, well, we're just going to watch 25 TV shows instead of connect with each other. We have so many other obligations with the kids. Maybe the kids have baseball, football, swimming, dancing. Like, and there's no time to actually connect with your partner or connect with yourself because you're running yourself ragged. Number one is connect with you. So is your desire disappearing, or do you just feel like everything is lame and boring, and maybe you just don't want to put in the effort anymore because you're freaking tired? And so if you are freaking tired, where are you placing your priorities? Have you put any is your sex life anywhere on your top 10 priorities? So if your sex life isn't on those priorities, you're going to abandon it and your desire will drop and all of that's going to happen. So one of the things is to put your desire for yourself and your partner back on that priority list. Because as much as, maybe for you, touch is not a very important way to connect or feel love, but it's still going to be there to some degree, even if it's the lowest love language on your ladder. But if it's one of the highest love languages on your ladder, then you really need to put this into priority place and start to have conversations about what you would like, and start it with conversations that are not directly about sex. Start it with conversations about how you would like to have presence with your partner, because presence is by far the sexiest thing you can offer somebody. When you can be truly present with somebody, and whether it's having eye to eye contact, whether it's being present with their bodies will react to presence. They'll relax, they'll turn on, they'll let go, things will shift. And if you've ever been with somebody who allows you to just relax and let go, your body will shift, it will change. When I work on people in the body work that I do, I often will have people go, I don't know what just happened. Why did my body just flip flop around? It's because the body's willing to let go. I don't have an expectation of you. I don't have an expectation of what your body is supposed to be doing on a table while it's letting go, but your body is willing to let go because maybe it's the first time in your life you've had touch that didn't require you to have some kind of end result. Maybe it's the first time you didn't have to be touched and have the other person feel good too, whether it's in a sexual way or you're hugging them and they're supposed to feel better or whatever it happens to be. Maybe it's the first time you've actually got to receive in maybe your whole life, and that's okay. So presence with somebody is the number one skill. Not okay. Well, yeah. Presence. Oh, there's so many number one skills. I think I want to just like blanket them, like communication, presence, consent, and curiosity are really top skills to hone when it comes to being a really good lover. And the other stuff, like the manipulation of a body in different ways, whether that's, doing mutual masturbation, or whether you're just trying to find out the rhythm of what is going to turn your partner on the most. All of that can be established through communication and through presence and through curiosity and through consent. So you see how those fundamentals are really key. I have more C words that I like to throw in there too, but we're going to play with those main ones today, plus throwing in presence. So how do you get present? Because most of us, and I'll include myself in this because I've been through this before, where I was so wrapped up in so many other things, concerns, worries, blah, 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 that it was like I was half floating out of my body most of the time. And I would be covered in bruises because I would walk into walls and furniture. And I was like tra-la-la space cadet because it just, for one thing, being present was too hard. Things that were going on were just too hard to deal with. So the more my nervous system could relax. When I met my husband and my body started to realize that I'm safe and I'm okay, I could relax. And now when I get bruises, it's because I've done something weird in the garden and used a tool in a really weird way, and then I get bruises in strange places. But other than that, I don't get them from walking into walls anymore like I used to, because I'm far more present than I've ever been. And I choose to be even more present. I choose to be that kind of presence where I can just be with somebody and their whole life changes. That's the kind of presence I'm stepping into. So let's talk about this more, about how presence can also help to have the hottest sex ever. We're going to talk about a few things actually, but having hotter than ever sex during perimenopause seems like something that's not achievable, and I'm telling you, it is. And we're going to talk more about that when we come back. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show, with sex, relationship, and intimacy coach, Milica Jelenic. You'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is The Pleasure Zone with sex, relationship, and intimacy coach, Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email, info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program. Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on?
Welcome back, my sweet pleasure seekers. So today we're talking about how to have hotter than ever sex during perimenopause, through it, in it, with it, and post, during menopause and postmenopausal. It's all kind of in the same family, where there is a belief out there that you hit menopause, your vagina dries up, your desires go away. And frankly, none of that is true. It might be true in individual cases, but it's not actually the truth. So how do we move out of that? And one of the things we talked about in the last segment was just really being willing to look at, like, what's really going on. Is your desire disappearing, or is it changing? Are you looking for something new that maybe you haven't experienced yet? Maybe. So one of the things I mentioned in the last segment too is that if your desires are not really disappearing and you don't really know what's going on, we need to start kind of doing an overall evaluation of things. And I mentioned, like, let's look at, besides like your hormones, if your hormones are all in check, let's look at your relationship. Are there resentments that are holding you back from telling your partner what you would like? Are you fed up? You're like, you know what? I've tried. I've told them so many times. I was doing a talk for a group the other day, and one of the ladies on there was like, I've told him so many times, but he doesn't listen. I'm like, okay, I need to get on a call with you so that I can hear what it is you're saying to your partner. Because if all he is hearing is, well, I don't like that, and you're not doing that right, the chances are he's going to withdraw. And then, he's just going to try and give you some kind of wham bam, thank you, ma'am sex, because there's zero appreciation for what he's trying to do, but also zero communication as to what does work. And also the need to be able to show and tell is great. And giving positive feedback will probably increase your likelihood of getting the things you desire. So one of the things too is to have your body be in a turned on state. And how do you do that is like, so there is a comment that came through the chat room, which is from a woman who is in menopause. It says, being a woman in menopause, having sex turns my body on to desire more sex. And it boils down to choice. Want more sex? Do something that turns yourself on first. And I agree. Doing something that turns yourself on first is key. Just like knowing your own body is key. If you would assume that your partner is supposed to know exactly what turns you on, they don't. And what you desire today could be different than what you desire next week or even an hour from now. So it may change all the time. So having and being in conversation and communication about these things is helpful. One of the ways to bring them up, because I always have this question, is like, how do you even have a conversation with your partner about this? So one of the ways that you can bring this up is you can go over to my website, milicajelenic.com, and I have a yes, no, maybes list. Download that. It's free. You don't have to be obligated to me to anything after that. Just grab it, use it. You can utilize that. And if you do want to connect with me after that and have a conversation, we can do that and navigate through your list. But that is a great start so that you can download one for you and your partner or partners if you're polyamorous. Download enough for everybody involved, have everybody fill out their list, add some things to it because my list is very vanilla. Mostly it's for couples who are just trying to get back on track, but you can add things to it as well. Add some kinky, fun, playful things to it. And then share that list with your partner. Just, you can say, you know what, I had some ideas and here they are. And then if your partner's like, hey, wow, cool, I want to try that. So then you can give them the list too. Or you can say, hey, I downloaded these lists to help us have a conversation about my desires and your desires. And I'd love to be able to go through this list and then maybe we can talk about that after. That would be great. So there's ways to introduce these things, and they don't always have to be right off the bat. Go, you know what I really want? I've really, really wanted to have you sit on my face forever, but why won't you do it? Okay, so let's bring out the list. Let's take away the anger. Let's bring in the curiosity. Take some deep breaths. Have this conversation from a place of peace and presence and listening to your partner. Because you know what? As soon as you go into blame and regret and anger, that person's gonna turn off, or they're gonna turn into retaliate, and then it'll just turn into a fight. So let's get to a place of calm, understanding, know what it is that you would like, and then be able to communicate that to your partner in a way that they can understand. So starting with writing can be helpful. And then other ways that, there are definitely other ways, but I find that one is one of the easier ones. You can also, if you're already having good conversations with your partner, literally just say, hey, you know what? Maybe you're watching a show and something reminds you of something you'd like to try. Maybe, who knows what you're watching, but you could be watching something and go, oh, you know what? I've always wanted to try that, whatever that happens to be. Maybe you're watching a show and somebody's doing something kinky. There may be some bondage involved, and you're like, you know what? That's something I've always wanted to try. And then your partner might be like, oh, I didn't know that. And, there could be a conversation starter. And if you find that while you're watching that show that your partner is completely like distracted and turned off and not interested, then you also might want to have a conversation about that, because it might be a complete no for them, that they're not interested in that kind of play. And then you need to know that, because if there is something that is really important to you, that you really desire and you'd really like to try, and your partner is like a heck no, then either there needs to be, And it's not about convincing that person into a yes. It's about letting them know how important it is to you. That if it is like vitamins and if you don't have it, you feel like you're going to die. If it's that level of important, then there needs to be a conversation about how you can have that so that you don't die. And if you feel like it's not as important, but it's more of a curiosity, then there are other ways to navigate that that would be ethical ways to be able to not, harm your relationship or your partner in doing those kinds of plays. Like you can tie your own self up if you're interested in, say, bondage. Try that first. And then maybe if your partner sees that you really enjoyed that, they might actually go, oh, that's curious. And they still might be like, no, I'm not interested at all. I won't do that. But at least you'll be able to do that for you. So we're looking at how do the desires change, because they will. And one of the ways you can tell if your desires changed is if, everything that you were doing before is not that fun anymore. And you kind of are looking at what else can we do? And whether that's new positions, whether that's bringing in toys, whether that's a new kind of play, whatever it happens to be, bring that into your life. And if everybody's in agreement and consenting to it, bring that into your life, because that can change. It can be a massive game changer. And it might not even be penetration oriented. So if you have, if you're going through menopause and you're afraid of penetration because maybe the tissues are starting to change and you're feeling like maybe there's thinning going on vaginally, or maybe there's something going on where there's atrophy happening, which does happen in women who are not menopausal as well. So vaginal atrophy is something that you can use dilators to help with. You can also use yoni eggs. Sometimes it's atrophied so much that when you go for like a gynecological exam, they can't even put like one finger in because the elasticity of the vagina is reduced so much that you can't get that in. But there are special dilators that are like medically approved for, and you'll find that gynecologists, OBGYNs will often recommend using dilators and using uh, lube with them as well. I'm a fan of using lube that is more like water-based. Um, but I'm the biggest fan of using your own lube, your own body. And if your body isn't producing lube, then there might be something going on with the microbiome in your vagina. So you can switch up your microbiome in a whole bunch of different ways. But a lot of the times, if your microbiome in your, like if your vaginal microbiome is off, then a lot of times your gut microbiome is also off. So it starts with food. But also doing things like just changing your hygiene practices. Like I know a lot of women who use perfumes on their vulvas, and your vulva does not want perfume, and it does not want perfumed soap inside either. It's not a favor. It can affect your microbiome of your vagina. So you want unscented, very mild soap. And if you can, don't douche, because douching will disrupt the microbiome in your vagina. You can start to eat more uh, probiotic and prebiotic foods, things like kimchi and sauerkraut and all the good sour foods and yogurt and kefir. And yeah, what else? So many things. So kefir, you guys might hear it as kefir, but it's actually kefir. And anyway, so yeah, there's that. And taking different probiotics and prebiotics orally can help. So changing your diet, because all that microbiome will start in the gut. And then, making sure that your partner is not bringing any STDs in, because whether they have, now this is a gross one that I learned from my uncle, who's a dentist, is that if you have bad oral hygiene, if you have like a lot of bacteria like gingivitis in your mouth, and you kiss somebody who doesn't have gingivitis in their mouth, that switches over and you can actually disrupt their microbiome with your funk. So if you can disrupt the microbiome in their mouth, I guarantee you can disrupt the microbiome in their genitals. So receiving oral sex from somebody, you want to make sure they have really healthy teeth, good microbiome in their mouth. So otherwise it can lead to infections, and that can also lead to UTIs as well as vaginal infections. But you want to be clean and clear on those things to make sure you have a healthy microbiome. Will also ensure that you'll be able to produce, we'll say, wetness for longer as well. You also want to wear healthy underwear. Healthy underwear, what is that? So a lot of underwear these days are made with like things that are stretchy materials, plastics, sort of like synthetic materials. And you want to wear like 100% natural fibers, 100% cotton or hemp. Those are going to be the best. Actually, just a few hours before this show, saw an ad run through my Instagram, probably because it recognizes what I'm doing. And it was for a presentation done for the Dragon's Den in Canada, and for a product called Hoo-Ha, which are underwear that have they're really healthy underwear. So I haven't tried them yet, but I'm curious about Hoo-Ha underwear. So Hoo-Ha, if you're out there, shout out. If you want to send me some for review, I'm happy to try that and spread the word. So hashtag Hoo-Ha. Yeah, so having really good underwear and making sure that you're not wearing a lot of clothes that trap moisture as well. Like if you're wearing tights all the time or pantyhose, those will absolutely trap moisture, trap bacteria, get the funk going. We don't want the funk. We want to have a healthy, happy microbiome. Your vagina might have like a slight musky smell at the end of the day, but it should not smell so foul that like it scares away small children and animals and makes your partner cry. It should not be that funky. So if it is, there's something going on, and you probably should consult your gynecologist to find out what is happening and whether you've got like infections happening, or you could get some other things to help you improve that. So yeah, if you find you're in like a funky funk and you got like the funk of the funk, there's something going on and you want to get that checked out. All right, we're going to head to our next commercial break as I just landed on the funky funk of the possible funks of the vagina. We're going to head back to our commercial break, and then we'll come back and talk more about this, because all of these things are part of perimenopause, but they can be prior to that as well. So if you keep your hoo-ha, if you keep your vagina healthy, then the chances are you're going to be able to sustain a lot of these activities for longer in your life. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show, with sex, relationship, and intimacy coach, Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is The Pleasure Zone with sex, relationship, and intimacy coach, Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email, info@milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet pleasure seekers. Today we are talking about hotter than ever sex during, after, and all that perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. So we're getting the lowdown. We've been getting the lowdown on different aspects where desire, we're talking about desire and vaginal health. And a lot of those things are what will affect, how much or whether you want to have sex or not. Is your desire being affected by hormone levels? So if you have a healthcare practitioner and you want to get that checked, that's great. Get all those things figured out. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is they might tell you that you're in a normal range, but that doesn't mean you're in an optimal range. So you can always ask, what is the optimal range as compared to the normal range? Because the optimal range is often quite smaller than the normal range. And also, if you are choosing to do anything like HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy, you want to work with somebody who is highly experienced in being able to create combinations of between estrogen and progesterone that are going to be highly effective for you. Sometimes you'll find that there's just like a generic combination, and that doesn't work for everybody, but there are doctors out there who will specialize in creating special formulations for each individual with different amounts, and that is helpful if you really need it. One of the questions to look at behind what is going on that there is so many hormones being affected, we got to look at everything that creates that. So what's going on environmentally? Do you have a lot of hormone disruptors in your home? What are hormone disruptors? So scents are hormone disruptors. If you're using things that are highly scented, like if your cleaning products are highly scented, those scents are hormone disruptors. If you are lighting like super cheap candles that are highly scented with toxic waxes, those are hormone disruptors. If you're eating other cleaning products too that are like super highly scented are generally in the family of hormone disruptors. So even certain things we use like toothpaste, there are a lot of things that can be hormone disruptors. Same with soaps that you're putting on your body, they can be hormone disruptors as well. So keep an eye on like how scented is your stuff. What I find hilarious is when I say that to people, are like, "Oh, I just use Tide." I'm like, Tide is so scented. If you cannot smell that, you are nose blind. So there are points where sometimes people are completely nose blind to how much scent they have on, whether that's scent on their clothes, which is now saturating into their body if they're like moving, sweating, whatever. Hormone disruptors are also in our clothing. So all the stuff that is made with non-natural fibers, they can be hormone disruptors. Plastics that are in those can be hormone disruptors. Am I getting too much info for you guys right now? I'm sorry if I am. Sometimes I go on a rant. So foods can also be hormone disruptors as well. Things that will create infections cannot, like excessive amounts of sugar or whatever, that can be creating fungus in your body. That will disrupt your microbiome, but it also disrupt hormones. Then we've also got other foods that are hormone disruptors because they've been injected with hormones. So if you're eating protein sources that are like laden with hormones, then that's going to affect your hormones. I remember in the 80s there was this curiosity as to like why so many young girls were growing breasts at like the age of 7 and 8, and they realized that there was a commonality that they'd all been eating like chicken that had been injected with growth hormones. So yeah, these things affect our hormones. And then you have what's like prolonged exposure to a hormone disruptors that you weren't even aware were disrupting your hormones. It's like kind of having prolonged exposure to hormone therapy, which can be hard on bodies as well. And it can also reduce, if you're on hormone therapy for like decades, there is research that indicates that it can reduce your age of your your life expectancy age. So anyway, there's all that happening. So got lots of things that will disrupt your hormones. If you'd like a list, I suppose I could compile one, but frankly, if you just Google hormone disruptors, if you look up even in, there's probably a bunch of stuff going on PubMed. So those are medical publications. You can look up things that disrupt hormones. There's probably stuff in there. And those are all medically researched. So there's going to be something that somebody will feel is justified and true. So what else do we want to look at? So I went on a little rant for hormone disruptors because a lot of times people are being given hormone replacement therapy far sooner than they're being looked at as to what is causing the hormones to be disrupted in the first place, and what can we do to switch that up before throwing you on hormones. So, and I'm not averse to hormone therapy as long as it's done in the correct way, and we've looked at all the other reasons why they might be being disrupted in the first place. Is it just menopause? Not always. There's so many other things going on. So yeah, let's figure that out first. And then we also have, so we got the potential for hormones being one of the reasons. We've got the potential for mood. And I mean, what you're going through emotionally can impact your desire a lot. So if you are going through any kind of perimenopause, pre-menopause, menopause, I could bust out the song "I'm Going Through Changes" just for Ozzy, but I'm not going to right now. So one of the reasons that has been given for most women to have vaginal dryness is hormonal shifts, and then vaginal elasticity. So how do we improve those things? Well, we don't always just we must use a hormone replacement therapy. And there are natural versions. If you are going to use hormone replacement therapy, you want to go with ones that are bioidenticals, because that's going to actually mix in with your body a lot better than, say, the ones that come from female horse urine. Those ones don't match the biology of human females as much as the ones that there are other ones that are bioidenticals that will have a better, easier time matching the biology. So definitely use the ones that are going to match you better, bioidenticals. And then there are lots of other ways that you can support your hormones through nutrition, eating the foods that were like phytoestrogens. I have a program actually. I don't know why I forgot that, but on my website, I have a program for how to have menopause and menstruation with ease. And I talk in that I think it's like a 3 or 4 part series. Can't remember. I did it a few years ago, but I also talk about different, I do this series with my mom. We talk about movement to relax the body, to switch up things, to help the hormones shift. My mom had like the best menopause of anybody I've ever met. So I leaned on her knowledge and expertise for that as well. And we talk about foods in there. We talk about movement. We talk about gemmatherapies, which are a type of remedy that uses the bud of a plant. And so many things. Emotions, how we can regulate our emotions on that as well. So yeah, you can head over to my site. I know that the program is really affordable. I wanted to make sure that it was like accessible to everyone. So head on over. You can go purchase that through milicajelenic.com. So part of what we talk about that in there is the different things like phytoestrogen rich foods, and things like yams are phytoestrogen rich foods, and having foods that can help regulate your hormones is going to be a lot easier on you than injecting things for, say, the rest of your life. Although some people will have to have that because maybe they've had their ovaries removed for different reasons. So there is a place for that, absolutely. And sometimes you just have tried everything and your hormones won't regulate. Like maybe you've gotten rid of all the things that are hormone disruptors in your life. And it does take your body a while to adjust after that as well. So it's not necessarily going to happen overnight, but you might start to notice little shifts and changes overnight. So, hotter than ever sex during perimenopause is kind of like a play on things. I don't know if you guys noticed, but hot flashes. And one of the things that can really help with eliminating hot flashes is to get off of caffeine. And this has been something that I've just seen through my mom, who is a non-caffeine drinker who had the best menopause ever. But then as a result, people that she's worked with who have gotten off of caffeine and have had like no hot sweats. So I'm a fan of like live it, use it, show other people they live it and they prove it. And so that is just, I don't know that we have any medical studies that back that, but try it. If you've got some really bad hot sweats, try getting off of caffeine for a while. If you find you're craving it and don't know how to get off of it, then that's another situation to look at. So how we can have menopause with ease and have hotter than ever sex is to look after our bodies, right? We got to remember that. But we're going to head to our next commercial break. You're listening to the Pleasure Zone here on Inspired Choices Network, and we'll be right back after this commercial.
Are you secretly a voyeur, wondering what's going on in other people's sex lives? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual evolution? Are you interested in people who are pioneers of different sexual and pleasurable practices? Lean in now with Milica Jelenic, where she will entice you and your body to know your own pleasure zone. On the Pleasure Zone radio show, with sex, relationship, and intimacy coach, Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for the Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Pleasure Zone with sex, relationship, and intimacy coach, Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email, info@MilicaJelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my sweet pleasure seekers. So as we're looking to have more hotter sex during perimenopause, one of the things we also need to do is love our bodies in order to be able to be confident in the bedroom and confident with ourselves. So it starts with you, with being able to look at you in the mirror and like see yourself as sexy. So if you can't see anything on you that's sexy, it's going to be really hard for you to be with your lover and be able to be relaxed and feel like that they're actually turned on by you. You then might have things going on through your head like, oh, they're just using me, whatever, it's all for them, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe they actually are interested in me, blah, blah, blah. Our heads are full of poo. So let's just send all the poo back in truckloads. Just send it all back and send it to wherever it came from, whatever universe that crap came from. And it can just reside there instead of your head. So how do we get to a place where we can have more confidence? So number one is to find that one spot in your body that you find is beautiful. And if you can't find one spot that you find is beautiful, then we need to work on how can you receive compliments from, well, if you ever in your life had something that you felt was beautiful, let's start there. Maybe it's like somebody told you once you have beautiful eyes, but you don't see it or believe it. Well, start there and say, I choose to know and see that I have beautiful eyes. Oh, okay, maybe I can choose into that. I choose to know that my body is beautiful. I choose to know that my body is sexy. I choose to know these things because maybe I don't know them, but I'm going to choose into that. So sometimes with affirmations, they don't feel or ring true, and then we feel like we're lying to ourselves, and then we wonder why they don't work. But if you can choose into them, choosing to know something, choosing to feel it, I choose to feel like the radiant sexual being I truly am. Cool. I choose to know what that is like. Your body, and as I said that, my body was like, yeah, let's do that. So I choose to know the radiant sexual being that I truly am. Choose to know what that is, to embody that. And then we can embody those things. So when you don't quite feel it hitting true, like I'm so sexy, if you're saying it but you're not resonating that, your body is just like, you're a liar, you're a liar. So now we need to choose into that if it's something that you truly do desire to choose. So having confidence is very, you can also have confidence but have no self-esteem, which is also weird. You can appear confident to people, but underneath that, you're like scared, hiding. You don't really know how to stand up for yourself, but you can appear very confident in public. So there's also a discord that happens there, which creates a bit of a disharmony energetically and confuses yourself and others as well. So it's okay to not be confident. It's okay to also choose to be confident. And it's okay to choose to look at your body. And you might go, you know what? I'm really loving my boobs today. Cool. And then we don't need to say like the rest of the garbage in our heads, like, but what about your chubby belly? And what about your this and that? Okay. We don't need to dive in there fully. We can look at what we really are loving, add energy to that. And if you do want to dive in really deep into the things you don't like, you're going to need to have a rescue team to get you out of that. So your own rescue team, whether that's a whole bunch of confidence boosters that come right after that. It's like it might be like I feel like my tummy is chubby, but at least I got great ass or something, like whatever it happens to be. And then you can choose to see the beauty of your body no matter how it shows up, so that when you are with a partner, you can enjoy your body in the presence of somebody else. Because if you can't enjoy your body solo, just with you in front of a mirror, looking at yourself, not even touching yourself, if you can't enjoy even just looking at yourself and thinking, wow, I'm loving this. This is foxy. I do me. If you can't feel that, you need to start there, because putting that expectation on your partner to be the one to bring that to you, they could try until, their whole life, until they basically run out of air saying that, and you will never believe them because you don't believe it yourself. So start with that, and it's a mind shift change. And if you need help with those mind shift changes, I'm happy to be there and facilitate that for you. You can always find me through my website, milicajelenic.com, where you can find the resources that I talked about earlier today too, whether it's that 4-part series for menopause and menstruation with ease, which is $50 Canadian, that includes anatomy, nutrition, movements, and energetics, or whether you're going to get my yes, no's, maybes list, or whether you're going on there just to send me a note to say, hey, listen to your show. I'd really like to have a conversation with you. And then I send you my booking link. Whatever it happens to be, there are resources, but what I do know is until we stop looking at menopause as a problem, which we tend to do, or perimenopause as problematic, and that, oh, she's going through that. Now we're ramping up. When you're in menopause, you are like, if you've ever played video games, you're like next leveling it. So you're going on to the next level, and now you've got like more skills, more desires, more requirements, and you've just leveled up. So in your leveling up, now how do you see life? How would you like to be in life? How would you like to be as a lover today rather than 25 years ago? And yes, you can ruminate on that if you like, but you can also figure out and discover who you are today and what you like. Maybe you don't want any penetration for a while. Maybe you just want some other playful things going on, touch of all kinds, and explore all the different aspects and avenues of your sensual self, because there are so many aspects that probably haven't been explored, which might be why you're like, I have no desire. I'm not interested. I don't get what I want anyway.
Thank you for choosing to listen to The Pleasure Zone with sex, relationship, and intimacy coach, Milica Jelenic. We'll return next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body. Thank you for choosing to listen to The Pleasure Zone with sex, relationship, and intimacy coach Milica Jelenic. We'll return next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.